G'day and welcome to part one of the content creation tutorial for OpenSimulator. We're not going to dwell on theory and muck around with all that stuff too much. We're going to go straight in world, and what I thought we might do is pull apart an object that I've already made just so you can analyze what goes into it, and then we'll set up your default texture as mentioned in the previous video. If you haven't watched the introductory video to this, please go back and watch that, because you won't understand some of the things that are going to happen in this video otherwise. Righto, let's head in world. Okay, so here we are on my resort land region. As you can see, it's pretty much a blank region. I've subdivided it into 9 parcels with canals up the middle, and as I mentioned before, we wanted a nice blank area with no objects around to get in the way of our building exercise. So I've left one object here for us to deconstruct very briefly. As you can see, it's a 4-wheel drive. It's actually an amphibious 4-wheel drive. We'll jump on it here. Oops. Drive. And you can see it's got a menu pops up, and it's all scripted. It's got a custom animation and all of that sort of thing. The wheels turn. It's a fully operational vehicle. It's got gears. And yeah, so pretty much basically a typical scripted object you'll find in world. Now, despite all this apparent wizardry, at the end of the day, it's just a collection of prims. Scripted prims, yes, but prims. We need the prims before we worry about the scripts. So what we're going to do is deconstruct this a little bit. There's 2 ways you can open the edit window. You can either right click on the object and choose edit from the pie chart, or you can go up to the top here and hit build and select build tool. You've got your choice there: focus tool, move tool, edit tool, create tool, or land tool. We'll go with the edit tool. Okay, so it opens this window. All of those tools are accessible via these buttons up the top. The middle one, the edit tool, is where we are going to spend most of our time over the ensuing tutorials. Occasionally we'll use this create button, but as soon as we use that, we go back into the edit tool again. So these are this is basically the toolbox we'll be working with. Okay, now click on the object and you'll see that window will become populated with information. Okay, so it's telling me the position. We'll start on the first tab. Okay, so it's under the general tab. It says the name of the object. If there's a description, there'll be a description in there as well. It then tells you the creator. Under that it tells you the owner, tells you the last owner, and if there's a group associated with it, there'll be a group listed there as well. Down the bottom it will tell you the properties, what properties will be held for it when you transfer it, when you give a copy away or sell a copy. The next owner will, in this case, the next owner will be able to modify or copy this vehicle, but they won't be able to transfer it, which means they won't be able to give it away. Okay, that's the front window. General tab, under object. There's a heap of cool functions here we'll get into later, but you'll actually spend a lot of your time with this under this object tab. So the first 3 boxes here is the position. Now that is the position that it is on the region. So 128 meters X, 194 meters Y, 21.8 meters Z. So that's, you'll notice here there's a we'll zoom out a bit, it might be more visible. Okay, you can see how suddenly we've got this green, red and blue arrow. So it corresponds with the colors on your edit tool here. So the X axis is red, the y-axis is green, and the blue axis is Z. So that's basically east-west, north-south, or up and down. So those are the three axes we work on when making things. The next box down here is the size. Now in this case it's the size of see the yellow outline there? That's called the root prim. So that's the main prim that makes this object. That's its actual size. We'll get more into root prims and what that all means later on, but just so you know, that's where the dimensions go for a prim. And the next one down is your rotation. So if you look up the top here, you've got a whole bunch of buttons. You can use move. So at the moment it's in move mode, so I can slide it along any axis I want to. Or you can rotate, which does that. And you'll notice, I'll quickly touch on this while we're in here. We'll go back to move for a moment. Righto. So see this thing here called snap, and you might remember I told you to set that to 0.125 in the introductory tutorial. What that means is it creates a little grid. So I'll just click on the red button there and see all of these little lines. Each one of those is 0.125 of a meter. So I know that when I see how it snaps, so each time that's going to go to the nearest 0.125 meter. And if we look here, we're moving on the x-axis, the red, and if we go up to its position here, it says 126.25. So that moved to the nearest 0.125. We'll do it again, and same thing again. So it's moved to exactly 0.5. So that just makes it very easy to line prims up against each other. It's I find that using half, quarter and eighth meters are just very simple. You could just as easily make it 0.1 and which probably makes a bit more sense really, but I'm just used to using half meters and quarter meters quite a lot, so I find it very convenient to use that 0.125. Anyway, so yes, if you're out here in these grid lines, you'll see that it snaps. But if you move your cursor in out of those grid lines, see how it moves freely? It's not snapping. So that's how you can move if you don't want it to snap to grid, you can move it like that. If you want it to snap to grid, go down to the grid lines. The same thing with rotation. If you stay in here, it's just moving at random angles. Okay, but if you come out here to the grid line, it's going to move to pretty basically quarters and eighths and sixteenths of 90 degrees. So it's, yeah, that can be very helpful too if you're trying to line things up to an exact angle. Okay, your next button here is the, oops, I'll just close those grid options, is stretch. You won't use this very much at all. I'm just going to use it to show you how it works. Basically, it's everything it says on the tin. It stretches the object. And again, you have grid lines. Grid lines or not grid lines. Okay. Righto. The next one down is select face. And what that does, it allows you to select the face of a single prim. So a single face of a single prim. So this object, let's find a simple one. Say the hood or the bonnet here, that's a box. It's actually a box, a cube. So I've selected, clicking on that, I've selected one face of that cube. So I might decide I want that to be black. Okay, so see how it's changed the color of that one face? So that's what select face does. You can choose one face. Align, now this is funny because and people are going to laugh at me for this, I have never used the align button ever. So knock yourself out if you want to use that. It's just a feature. I don't even know how to use it, so I'm not going to waste my time. Definitely one of the most important buttons here is Edit Linked. Now what this allows you to do is, as I mentioned, this is a grouping of many prims. So if we want to move something, say we decide that the wheel needs to go back a little bit further, but we don't want to break the whole car and move things around. So I'm just going to edit this wheel, while the whole object stays linked. So we might want to slide it back, say 0.15, so whoops, that's where we started, and we'll slide it back 0.15. We'll slide it back another 0.125. So there you go. And that has kept the whole vehicle in one piece while allowing us to change one small part of it. You could edit linked again. You might want to move the seat to there, or you might decide, okay, we want this to be left-hand drive. So we've got edit linked, and I'm using the shift key to select multiple linked objects. Okay, so I've grabbed those. I've grabbed the speedo, the steering column, and the steering wheel. We'll grab the brake pedal, clutch pedal, accelerator, brake pedal, whatever that thing is. Oh yeah, the thing that holds in the brake pedal. Right, now we're going to slide all of that across to this side of the car. We'll line it up with the seat. Beautiful. We've turned it into a left-hand drive vehicle. That's simple. I mean, of course I'll have to pull the script out of that seat, the driving script, but it's that simple. I'm just showing you how to move things around. Okay, so you'll see here the main prim, as I said before, is highlighted in yellow. All the others are light blue, and that just differentiates the root prim from all the other prims, and all the other prims are called child prims. What we'll do is break this unit. So up here you'll see there's two buttons. One is grayed out, the link, and the other one isn't grayed out, unlink. So we're going to unlink. We're going to break all the links in this object. Okay, and I've got a warning here. Do you really want to unlink the selected object? Unlink. Right, so you'll see now that all the prims are yellow because they're all separate prims. They're all root prims essentially. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got here exactly. If we go back to the object tab and you have this tells you all the different types of geometric shapes you can have for a prim. Okay, so the system is saying that up here it says that it's a box. So this thing here, which is a box, originally started life, you'll see I've just hit the create tool there, as that. That's a box. But what happened along the way is we manipulated it. So we used our stretch tool, or we may have just entered the numbers in the size boxes there, which is more likely the case, and then we applied a hollow feature to it. I could actually get the information from this, so let's have a look. So it's saying it's 1.752 on the x-axis, so let's actually what we'll do is we'll copy those specs. Here you go. If you use the C, copy, apply it to that, paste. Okay, and you might be saying now, well, why is that looking different in size? And that's because of the rotation. So if you go back to here, the rotation is 90 degrees on the z-axis. This is 0. So if we change that figure to 90, bang, there you go. So that is how we manipulate a simple shape like a box to be something like that. Likewise, this, for argument's sake, is a sphere, believe it or not. It is a sphere with two dimples cut into the side of it. So you see here it says sphere. If you go down the bottom here, it says dimple, begin, end, 0.3 to 0.7. So if I want to try and replicate that, I'd go to the create tool there. I would choose a sphere. I'd do that. Okay. And let's get some specs off this thing. That's the size of it. We'll copy those sizes to save us entering it now. Paste. Okay, and that is 0, 0, 90. We'll make that the same. It should be 0, 0, 90. Okay, and this says it has a dimple of 0.3 and 0.7. So we'll go in here, change that to 0.3. And that one to 0.7, and voila. I mean, I know the textures aren't there yet, that's a difference, we'll get to that later, but that's the same shape, it's the same size. If I wanted to, I could stick that on the vehicle right now, no problems at all. So everything, you can see also see the difference that textures make. All that is just textures. It's quite amazing. Okay, so pretty much every shape on this, we'll do one more. So this is the mudguard, it cuts through the bonnet. That's actually a cylinder, believe it or not. It's just we've cut it a little bit, or cut it quite a lot, and we've hollowed it right out. So let's return it to being a cylinder. We'll do it a different way this time. So we'll take that back up to its original shape, and we'll remove the hollow. Bang! That's what it actually started life as. We'll take that back to its original shape. There's our box. There's our sphere. We'll take it back to its original. Tab 0. Whoops. Someone's a silly bugger. Tab 1. Righto, that's what it looks like without the dimples. So you can see things like the axle. Oh, we'll get rid of that. That's the root prim, which we don't really want at the moment. So there's your axle. That's another cylinder. More wheels. We've got a brake disc there. Again, that's a cylinder. The bottom part of that float, that's a cylinder. And this cool grill, you might have thought to look at originally, but that's also a cylinder. It's just got some, if I may say so myself, some pretty clever texturing on it. So again, we'll return that to being what it originally began life as. And that's it. Crazy, hey? But there. That's how it basically, how everything starts life as a simple object, and then it's just manipulated. So what I'm doing here, I want to get rid of all this. I'm not interested in it anymore. We're going to I'm selecting the whole lot, and I'm throwing it in the trash. Bang, delete. It's now sitting, if I do want to get it back later on, if you go to your recent objects in your inventory, you'll find it there in your trash. Okay, that done. Let's start a project.